welcome back to another episode of Don't Blame Me. And today, our guest has never been here before. This is her first time.
With bangs.
How long did you prep that?
I thought about it.
A little bit. Just prepped a little bit.
They're real cute.
Aren't they?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I noticed them earlier, but then I was like, did she have them before? And then, so I just didn't say anything.
They've been on Instagram.
Really okay.
And I think I also told you that she got bangs and showed a picture because I was like, look how cute the bangs are. I just am super jealous of anyone who can have bangs.
When my hair was straight, I wore bangs a lot.
See, when I wore my hair curly, like when I didn't heat style it and it was just natural texture and like curly, I had bangs, but I just straightened the bangs. So I left the curly hair.
Well, that's very
straight bangs. 2009.
Yeah. That was very much
I had like the deep side bang that just was like
the swoop.
So emo.
Okay, you're just calling out my like season 11 Degrassi look.
Well, we've been over the fact that apparently that
you
was
are
based off of me, which is not a compliment. I've also found out, which is super nice. It's cool. Whatever. I glowed up. Okay, guys, this is advice.
What you're saying about Aislinn?
No, well, she was a character. You didn't write fan. You were cringing at the shit your character had to do, whereas I was just living that shit by choice.
Got it.
Like she wrote fanfic, and Aislenn's like, I can't believe I have to do this storyline, and there I was being like, oh my god, I'm so excited to make my next chapter of my Harry Potter fanfic. Like I was a fucking loser, and you had to wear fake glasses.
Yeah,
and there I was being like, you like my transition lenses? Fucking kill me. Okay, well apparently like transition lenses are cool in the Visco Girl days, which is like fucked up because I'm attacked because I could have been cool back in the day. It's like now cool to be like poor and like environmentally conscious and like scrunchies. It's fine. Well, guys, it's an advice podcast. It's called Don't Blame Me. If you want to call in for an upcoming episode, you can leave us a voicemail at 310-694-0976.
Oh, you've gotten so fast at that.
Yeah, I really needed to breathe.
Yeah, I know. I saw that. I was like, slow down, girls.
Yeah.
We in a rush here?
And if you're an international listener, you can send us an audio file at meghanpodcast@gmail.com. And if you want to buy my presets, Meghan Rienks presets. Okay, should we play the first call?
Hi, Megan, Melissa, and guest. I hope that you can give me some advice on a situation I'm going through. In January, I took my fiance, best friend, and my parents to Mozambique for my 21st birthday because I wanted to be surrounded by all my favorite people on my special day. At the start of the holiday, everything was going well. Then my friend started acting a little bit weird and was complaining about my fiance and was annoyed when I didn't want to go bar hopping with her. I don't really drink at all because I have really bad anxiety and I don't like not being in control of myself, and alcohol makes you lose control of yourself. So I started spending more time with her to make sure she was okay and happy, but it meant I wasn't able to really enjoy my time with my fiance and my parents. This made me really stressed out and I had an anxiety attack, and I wanted to then cut the trip short. But my mum and fiance were really helpful and they comforted me. So it's a 20-hour road trip on the way back, and she wouldn't talk to me at all. So afterwards, when we got back home, I tried to text her to see her before she went back to uni, because she goes to uni on the opposite side of the country, and we've been best friends since we were 5. I've known her my entire life. It's really been weird 3 years not seeing her every day because I was so used to it. And now that this is happening, I kind of feel really awkward about it. So a couple months passed. I've tried texting her, she didn't respond. Then came our holidays, and she usually tells me when she's coming home, and she didn't this time. So I saw her at a food market, and the next day I then messaged her and was like, hey, can we chat? So when I saw her, I told her how I felt about everything. At first, she was really, really defensive about it and kind of mad at me. But then a couple days later, she messaged me and was like, I'm really sorry. I'll try to be better. And I'm sorry that I made you feel that way. It's been about 2 months now since that chat we had. And I haven't messaged her because now I don't know what to do. I feel really strange. Am I supposed to message her? Am I supposed to tell her again how I feel? I don't know what to do. Can you guys please help me? I really appreciate it.
I appreciate the fact that she edited this so that it would be in the right time frame.
Yeah, I was very much like, wow, this sounds like an Instagram story we're watching. I wish we could go back in time and you could have not invited them all to your birthday so badly.
Yeah.
I
Or just her.
Well, no, but I think I totally understand why you wanted them all there. It's just a difficult group of people to have. It's difficult to have your relationship, your parents, and then a friend. Like, it's just an odd dynamic that someone's always going to end up feeling left out. And I don't want you to like take the responsibility that was like your fault, but I think you've said your piece in like how you felt to your friend. She was defensive and then she apologized. And I think she feels stupid. Like, I think she feels like immature and kind of dumb. And I think you have the power and you had the upper hand and like you came at her first. And in most situations, I think when your feelings are hurt, it's fair to expect other people to then like, you're like, oh, I'm not going to put the effort in. I need them to like come to me. But in this sense, I think like, yeah, I think you should reach out to her because I think she might feel like a little like embarrassed or dumb.
Yeah, I think you are very good at picking questions because this feels very cherry picked for me because I've been in a situation very similar to this. I've been on a trip like that, and it's really difficult because there are a lot of dynamics at play, and also when it's couples and someone who's single, it does sort of change things a little bit. And there's obviously she's also at a different place in her life than maybe she was when you guys were friends when you were younger. If she's been at uni and has been drinking a lot and going out with other single friends that she's made at school, and you guys have never really been ones to drink together, but she wants to do that with you and wants to go out with you, and not realizing necessarily that that's not fun for you. Like, it just sort of feels like there's just maybe some growing pains in your friendship, that she's going through some things that are different from what you're going through, and you're just at different places in your lives. But yeah, I think with a friendship that long, there's just so much at play. There's a lot riding on it. And also, I guess in some ways we expect friendships to stay very stable for years. And that's really not the case. Like, you can have a lot of different variations of the same friendship. Sometimes you're spending a lot of time together. Sometimes you don't see each other for a long time. Sometimes you guys have different priorities. So I think it's okay that you guys aren't as close right now and things are a little bit, there's more tension. I don't think that necessarily spells the end for you guys as friends. It's just important that you're thinking about keeping yourself comfortable and safe and not getting hurt, and for her sake. And then also considering her feelings too, that like there was probably a part of her that felt left out and felt like she wanted to spend time with you on that trip. And I think it's just important that if you can establish now, like, reaching out to her an amount that feels comfortable for you, and you feel like you can have sort of a routine of staying in touch. And if she will participate in that, then that's great. And I think this can just sort of be like a growing experience for you both. But if she continues to sort of belittle you or like take it so personally, anytime you sort of critique things or say like, yeah, I'd rather we like talked at a different time, or I'd rather we did this. If she isn't willing to participate in that and work through this with you, then I think it's fair to move on. Then I think you have a friendship that's sort of run its course. But at this point, I think you're just going through a period of growth and change. And I think you guys can still figure out how to keep that friendship alive. Yeah,
because I think you're right. I think you're both pretty different right now. And it's not about one of you meeting the other where the other one is. It's about you guys finding a place in the middle. Because I think also her suggesting wanting to go bar hopping, she probably doesn't want to just like stay in the place you're staying with your parents and you and your fiance. Like, she's fifth wheeling. And so for her, it's like, oh, we can go to a bar, and like, it might not necessarily, like in her mind, like maybe it's like, yeah, it'd be fun to go out drinking. But her, it's also like, can it be more people? Like, I can talk to a guy, like it can be something like this, but as opposed to like, no, I'd rather just stay here. Obviously, like, not saying go back in time, but I mean, like in the future, if it's something, so her suggesting something that like you really don't want to do, and like as someone who doesn't drink, like I totally understand that, but there's a way of being like, oh, I mean, like I'm down to go out, but like I don't really want, like, am I good? Are you good if I don't drink? And she can be like, yeah, for sure. Or if it's like, hey, how about instead, like, why don't we go to dinner and we like go see like a comedy show? Like, why don't we go do something like this? And making the effort to like spend time with focus on like your relationship with her specifically, as opposed to like, oh, these are like when, and I think this is difficult in general when like you're long distance friends and when you, that friend comes, and I've had this with people where like someone comes to visit you or used to come visit someone and like you have your own life there and then you just are so excited to bring them into your life. But that's those things and the people and the places and all that stuff that like might mean so much to you that you don't necessarily mean as much to her. So I think it's about fostering an independent friendship that's not like, oh, here's my boyfriend and here's the stuff that like we like to do together and the stuff that I want to do. It's like, oh, let's figure out what like how we can specifically do something. But I would just say like send her a text message, say that like you miss talking to her. She knows how you feel. I don't think you need to restate it. I think like she probably feels embarrassed. I say like I would be the one to reach out, like schedule a Skype date to like hang out and talk, like just like eat dinner together over like FaceTime or whatever, and then gauge from there to see like, oh, are we in the same place that are we both wanting to put as much effort and energy into this friendship or is it not? But I think like moving on from like what happened at your birthday and like trying to start anew, I think is the way that you're going to like see if you both are as invested in meeting each other in the middle. Because I think that's what you need to do. But also if you don't want to meet her in the middle, that's okay too. But it's just not, you can't ask her to meet you where you are if you're not willing to kind of like sacrifice some things, and she should be willing to too. And if you're not, it's okay to grow apart, and it's also okay to like grow apart for, like you said, like a period
of time, because this is a different time in your lives. You clearly have very different priorities, both of you at the moment. And like, I think I've had that with a lot of friends as well. When they've gone away to school, they've been very engrossed in their studies, and then we maybe don't talk as much, and then like they'll move back to the city or they'll get a job, and like things can change, and a friendship can sort of have those stages, and that's okay too, as long as you don't let any painful feelings sort of like fester and turn into a resentment that you haven't aired with her that then like could come out years later. You just have to keep thinking of it as a positive friendship that's almost just like, you know, on pause for a minute while she's doing stuff. Or if you guys can keep up with like Skype dates weekly, like that would be really great too. And it's just about where you're both at, as long as you don't turn it into like a negative thing and like think of any time that she's unavailable or doesn't want to speak as like a negative for your friendship.
Yeah. Friendships are hard once you get older too, because it's not the same.
And this period in your life too, it's just like that's a huge period of change, like early 20s when people
and
are
if
at
you're
school, figuring out their
engaged,
jobs.
she's in school, like if she's not dating anyone, like you guys are just she can be your best friend and your friend you've had the longest, but it doesn't have to be the friend that there are certain things that you'll relate to more with other people, and like activities and all of that sort of stuff. And so just making sure that neither of you are setting up the other one for failure. Like if she wants you to be her going out drinking friend, then you're going to fail. Because that's not what you're into.
Because that's, setting up standards that you
want her to be like your homebody. We all just hang out, watch a movie with me and my boyfriend kind of friend. Like that's kind of like a dog, like, or someone else who like find a friend who's in a relationship, who's friends with your fiance, like have it be something like that, because then she's going to fail in that aspect too. So it's obviously you expect things out of your friends, but making sure that like it's a fair thing that you can each live up to in that sense. But yeah, best of luck. Also, invite me to your birthday in Mozambique.
Yeah, sounds great.
Yeah.
We will be there next year.
I'm bringing Moz though. We're all bringing
But that'll be good. Because you don't like going out?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
So like, I'm down. Just don't like canoodle in front of me. I'll make fun of you. Okay, on to the next.
Hey, Megan. So I'm 18 years old, and I've been dating this guy for like 8 months, and everything is cool. But so for the summer, he's been working as a lifeguard at this summer camp, and he's like one of the only guys. It's like him, one other guy, and then all the rest are like girls. There's like 5 or 6 other girls, and they're all friends, which is fine. They work together. But they have like a group chat that they all talk in all the time, and again, which is fine. And it just kind of makes me a little bit uncomfortable though, because a few of the girls had already admitted to him that they used to have crushes on him, and they all knew each other when they were younger, and they always talk about all their memories and how he used to say that he was going to marry one of the other girls. And they talk about it all the time, and they talk about how they used to like him all the time. And it all just kind of makes me a little bit uncomfortable. And just recently, he told me that he had been talking to a couple of the girls about like our relationship and like our fights and stuff, I guess. And I was like, well, why are you talking to these other girls about our relationship? Like, that just really made me extremely uncomfortable. Like, I kind of thought it was just common sense that you don't like confide in the people of the opposite gender to like give you advice about your relationship. Like, I don't know if I'm just being crazy or what. And they also are gonna have like a movie night, and it's just him and all these girls and one other guy. And I was like, it's just gonna be all these girls, and he invited me to go, which I'm going, but I'm just, it still just all makes me really uncomfortable. Am I being unreasonable? Like, am I wrong for being upset that he's talking to them about our relationship? And am I wrong for being uncomfortable about all of their talks about their feelings and stuff? I don't know. Just let me know. Am I being stupid? Am I alone in this? Would you be mad too? Thanks. Bye.
Well, first of all, I'm always mad. Like, if you ever want to be like, am I allowed to be mad? I'll tell you, like, yeah, I'll be mad too. First of all, these girls, this is so lame. Like, that is so embarrassing for them. Like, I know, like, and you have every right to feel annoyed, and I would too. And like, I'm annoyed with your boyfriend, which I think also you're also annoyed with your boyfriend in this aspect. Yeah. But I just want you to know, in general, like, these girls to be like, oh my God, I always had like a crush on you. Like, I always thought we were gonna like end up together. That is fucking like weenie shit. Like, shut the fuck up. Like, you're friends with him now. Like, you like are coming across like such a fucking weenie. Like, it's just like, that's not hot. Like, that's not like, oh, like, you know, like, I always thought you were like so sexy. Like, on a group chat, I had a really big crush on you in kindergarten, and so did Mary Beth. Like,
it's
ew.
So weird.
It's just so fucking weird. And I think that's boosting his ego. And I think like that's why he's like dealing with it. I think that talking about your fights and that stuff is also not okay.
That's
I will
crossing a line.
Correct in this, not correct you, but I will say in the sense, I don't think the gender aspect doesn't matter. It's the
nature of their friendship, the fact that it's so flirtatious and it's so exclusive. They're hanging out as a group without you.
Yeah, it's not that. It's not like your mutual female friend who is in a relationship and has not expressed prior interest in your boyfriend,
and he's getting like advice from them.
Yeah,
he's going to complain.
That's just
it's crossing a line, but it's also I'll give him the benefit of the doubt that it's maybe not intentional. He's not intentionally trying to go to someone who's going to hurt you. But I think there's a validation factor. I think like he feels validated getting to talk to someone who like has a crush on him or like thinks he's great. And this is really, I hate this. I really hate this for you because in some ways, there's a lot of this that is just a level of paranoia and being nervous and liking him a lot and being nervous about him spending time with other women. But then there is also a part of it that's crossing a line, and you have every right to be frustrated and bothered by. Yeah. But it can be really hard to bring that kind of a situation up because it's so easy to get gaslit in a situation like that because there's so much of it that is totally fine and platonic. No, and
you can tell him. I called into a podcast and they said that I have every right to feel this way.
Yeah, you can tell them that like two 25-year-old women said no.
And don't tell him I'm mad all the time.
Yeah, but I
want to know if you read his texts. You left that out. I want to know
if you've read through the group chat. That's why you know these things.
So that's what I'm curious about. Because men are dumb. And Amanda's the only one who saw me do that. I'm glad you saw that. Men are dumb. And should I do it again? No, I won't. Third time's a charm.
It is on camera.
I know. I know, but I wanted everyone to get the joke. But Amanda did, so I'm good. But if he had something...
I got it now.
There you go. Wow. Yeah. If he had something to hide... they're not that smart to hide something in plain sight. So I think like if these messages, like you can feel uncomfortable about this stuff, but the fact that these girls are saying that they used to have crushes on him and all of that stuff, if it makes you feel any better, I don't think if he was cheating on you, there wouldn't be those messages. Like they wouldn't say that kind of stuff necessarily because you wouldn't know unless again, you've looked through his phone and this is not stuff that like, if this is stuff that's come up. I think, Okay, let me get practical with you. I think you're going to this movie night.
Mm-hmm.
You are going to look so hot. I don't know how tall you are, and I don't know how short these other people are. And no offense to
I was about to say
some of the short people in the room.
most of the people in this room are short.
you're doing almost exclusively short group
No,
here.
we're good.
It's not fair.
Oh.
What is happening?
Sorry, just fucking with you. I would say, as a tall girl, then I go in and not that we dress for men or we dress for women. I'm telling you to dress to intimidate. Like, I'm saying, like, look great and like look awesome and just feel like a fucking badass. Like, I've done this before where I'm like, oh, you're not gonna fuck with me, and I've literally worn thigh-high stilettos, like just over the knee boots, just being like, I'm gonna stomp on you bitches. And even if it's like they're not being like, oh, she looks so good, I'm like, I am Charlize Theron. Like, I am like going to crush you. And I think you need to go in with that kind of confidence to the situation. And I'm not saying confront any of them or anything like that, but I think you need to do some intel and assess that kind of thing and see, oh, is their in-person relationship incredibly flirty? Do you feel uncomfortable with how your boyfriend responds in real time? Like, do you see this? Do you think that like he's adjusting these different things? Is he being the same way he's been in these text messages? Is it adding up? Or is it, oh wow, is he like kind of backtracking and trying to make it seem a little bit different? I think you can tell from there. And then I think you have a better leg to stand on when talking to him about it after you've met them and interacted with them, because I think like that will prevent you from being gaslit in a small amount, because then you also, if you did read his text messages, you don't have to admit that you read the text, you know? Or you can.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a tough spot to navigate, because again, you also don't want to call into question the relationship that you have with your boyfriend and the trust that you guys have built.
But if you don't trust him,
yeah, that's the bigger issue. Really, is like if the trust is in question. But like something that I can really relate to is like sometimes it's not really about you trusting him, it's about you trusting these other girls, because they're clearly the ones trying to say stuff and be flirtatious. And
it's his responsibility to a group of girls who have expressed interest in him that he's not going to tell them when you guys are having issues, because that's giving them an entryway into your relationship, and that's really, really not okay. And that becomes a level of like, well, how can I trust? I don't trust these girls because they're clearly expressing interest, and as opposed to you shutting them down politely, you're letting them. And I also think there's an issue with like not shutting someone down when someone says something negative about you, like, and if your partner doesn't shut that
just being
down,
passive about that, and
you're letting that behavior happen, and then you're continuing to let that behavior happen, and then you're gonna basically like talk about the fight that you had, and you're going to people who are going to tell you that you're right. And that's the biggest issue. And like we've all done that when you're like fighting with someone and you're like, oh, like I know there are certain friends that if I want to go to them, like Jerry, I love Jerry so much. Jerry I am never wrong in Jerry's eyes. She's like, no, I don't even need to know what they did. Like, they're fucking bitches. Like, it's all you. You got
set
this.
their car on fire damn straight.
The amount of times I've gone to you and you're like, okay, I hear you, but I don't necessarily think that you're totally right. Like, I think there are parts, and like, that's the thing that like, he can't go for advice or to vent about a relationship to some, like you said, that it's so incredibly one-sided, because he's not actually, he's just like, it's a cathartic, I just want to vent it out kind of thing.
Yeah, and be validated and go to these people who have been giving me lots of compliments and making me feel great about myself. And like, I think that's a clear conversation that you can have with him. That's a statement that you can make, and no one will call you crazy for that. Just say like, I don't feel comfortable you talking about our issues with these girls. I think it's healthy for you to talk to a friend and like be like talking about this, but just not with them. Yeah, that makes your position much more difficult, because if you have to sort of keep these cards close to the vest and not admit that you've read these text messages.
If you I would say I would wait till you're in person, and you not in person with them, but like after you've done this movie night and hung out with all that stuff, I think you are going to be able to not show your hand all the way. Yeah. And like,
if you have that in-person interaction, you'll have like a leg to stand on.
Wow, I'm just like teaching you how to be psychotic. And then from there, you can say like, oh, this like from how you felt in person. And then if it doesn't clear up, you can use that as, oh, it made me freak out. And then I read your text messages. And then that can be in there.
That is
If you want to be crazy. I'm
devious.
just saying.
That works. No, that works.
Yeah.
But also in general, like not even about like specific steps of how to bring this up. Just in general, I think to be in a position where you are asking yourself if you seem crazy for feeling these things, I think you need to cut yourself so much more slack. I feel like that's my catchphrase every time I come on this podcast. Cut yourself some slack. But just be aware that if you're feeling this way, there is something that is up to make you feel that way. And society has told us that we all have to be cool and chill and relaxed and everything's fine. And if we're too demanding or controlling as girlfriends, like we are menaces who guys like get together with their bros and talk about how horrible we are. And that's just not a good mentality to have, that like you have a fear of seeming not chill. But if there's something that is bothering you and enough that you're calling into a podcast for advice about it and you're still wondering, am I crazy? You're not crazy. Like there's clearly something going on that is enough to make you feel uneasy. And you have to acknowledge that feeling and let yourself feel that, and also not talk down to yourself for feeling that way.
Yeah.
Like it's
that feeling doesn't come out of you can't make it that feeling up. It's there or it's not. And something happened to make you feel that way.
And sure, like some of it might be caused by something that is relatively harmless. Like it might just be a question of you not getting to participate in this social group that is that your boyfriend clearly values and really likes being part of like this fun little club, and they've got their own inside jokes, and that can just, you can feel left out from that, and it can be technically harmless in a lot of ways and still make you feel like not so great. But there also could be some aspects to this that are crossing a line, and we've acknowledged that like there's definitely some lines being crossed here, and I think you have to give yourself a bit more respect, like respect your feelings a little bit more. You don't feel good about this, and that's your right.
Yeah.
Hey, Megan. So here's my situation. So I had like this really close best friend, and he was my only friend for like a really long time, and we were like super, super close. And then a while like after we got really close, I got a boyfriend, and he clearly got like so jealous and made a big scene about it, and pretty much like broke my trust because he just like fucked it up really. And obviously like I just kind of like dropped him, like ghosted him, I guess. And it was really bad. And there's like a history of him doing similar things to other people and stuff. And then recently another friend of mine started seeing him, even though she knew like it hurt me and stuff, and she knew the whole situation. And she eventually told me they like broke it off. But the other day she said she had to tell me something, and she was saying like, you know, he got like really drunk and he called her up, and they pretty much like fucked really. And then she like did all this like all knowing that, you know, she knew it would hurt me and stuff. But like I don't know, I feel like it was wrong, even though like I told her like, you know, you do what you gotta do, like I can't control you or anything. But you know, she's my best friend. I've known her for like freaking years and stuff, and I don't want to like lose her and stuff, but like I don't know what the fuck to do or like how to handle the situation. So please help. Thanks. Bye.
What the fuck? I'm
a little bit confused. So we're saying it's her longtime friend.
Both her best friends ended up fucking each other.
Yeah.
Her female and male best friends, but also she and the male best friend had a falling out because he clearly had feelings for her when she started dating someone else.
Yeah.
Okay. But then that other guy that she's dating, he didn't come back up in that story at one point.
They're happy and stable. They have no issues. And then you ghosted your ex best friend, and now you're upset because your new now best friend, or maybe she's always been in the picture.
Maybe she was second, and then she
was,
got rid of him.
Oh my God, she became your Stassi. She's your Stassi. Oh my God, yeah. Okay. So Jordan fucked Stassi. And you're mad.
So the command center is commanding.
So the command center, Houston, we have a problem.
So off the rails.
Oh my God. Woo. Okay. To be super frank with you, I don't know why you're upset, or I don't want to say that you're not really allowed to be upset. I think like I wish I had clarity on what he did to your friendship that you were like, I had to be done and end it.
Yeah.
Because without that, I don't know what to tell you in that sense, because like if he treated you like shit and said like, you're a vile, disgusting person, I hope you get like hit by a bus, like, okay,
then you don't want your friend sleeping with him.
Yeah, and then you're like,
Definitely.
he's a shit guy. But like, I don't know if it was just kind of a normal like, oh wow, I had feelings for you, you led me on kind of thing. Like I thought we were into each other, and like he said some shit that was clearly emotionally fueled by that. Then like him moving on should be a good thing, but I don't know why you harbored these negative feelings to him, because I don't know what he did. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. There's probably a lot of things going on in your mind. I don't know if maybe you're worried that your best friend is going to get hurt if this guy still has feelings for you and you think like he's trying to get with her to get back at you. But at the end of the day, that's kind of stuff.
Problem.
Yeah, that's not your problem. You just have to let them do what they're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
I feel bad for this tough love, but like, yeah, if there was no incident that was like quite rude and like a reason to not want your friends to be involved with him, then maybe you have to look at your own feelings and figure out why you're so bothered.
Because maybe you like the fact that he was so into you, and maybe it's the fact that he's moving on and it's not okay in your mind. Also, if he did something shitty and your other friend knew and still chose to go out with him, that's okay. Like that's fine. Like she's allowed to do.
Also, she can make her own choices there,
whatever she wants.
Because here's the thing. Like, again, we still don't know what caused your friendship to break down, other than if it was a reveal of these feelings and that's why you guys aren't hanging out as much. But to be honest, I've been in a situation like this where I had a friend who I didn't know they had feelings for me, and then I found out. And then they started dating someone else, and I was fucking relieved. Like, I was so excited because I was like, great, cool, we can be friends again. Because this is like, you clearly have moved on and your feelings aren't there for me anymore. And like, we can just be normal again. So if you're not feeling that way,
maybe there's some
maybe there are some
that
feelings
you have.
Maybe.
Yeah. But then on the other side, if it is the fact that he's just
maybe
terrible and has been a shit guy, then it's not your problem if your friend wants to date them. And like,
you just have to be there for your friend.
Yeah. And also, the reason why I think this is more of like a jealous thing is because like the fact that like she slept with him and you told her like, well, it's fine. Like do what you got to do. Like, first of all, if someone's like being like, hey, I think we're going to hook up, and you really don't want them to, you say that. You don't say do what you got to do because horny me is like, oh yeah, fuck. So I have your blessing for sure. Like I'm down. Like if you really like, I can't even tell you the amount of times Sydney did not want me to hook up with my ex. She would see us from across the room at a party, fucking sprint and throw her body between us and be like, get in the fucking car. Like you can go insane to be like, no, do not make this fucking mistake. Don't do something like this. But like if your friend is calling you and asking essentially like, is this okay? If it's not her responsibility, I'm a big believer in like, I'm going to take people at face value. Like if you tell me you're fine or you tell me this is how you feel, it's not my responsibility to coddle you and be like, well, no, tell me how you really feel. Like if that's what you're comfortable talking to me as, then I'm going to take that. It's not my job to pull that stuff out of you.
And also I have to say, you do what you got to do. It's a little passive aggressive.
Oh yeah, but it's aggressive. True. It's just kind of aggressive.
So I feel like if hearing us talk to you like this is like a good splash of cold water in the face, and you realize like, oh shit, like I haven't been reacting the way I should be, I think it would be good to maybe just reach out to her again and just be like, hey, by the way, I really do mean it. Everything's cool. Like, how was it? I don't really know how old you guys are, or like how like sexually experienced you guys are either. If this is like common for her to like hook up with a lot of people, but also maybe this is like she wants your friendship and support and someone to talk to in these moments too. If she's got feelings for this guy, if it's like a big deal, I think it would be maybe good to just sort of reassess where you're at, because obviously if this is causing you pain and not something you want to revisit, then definitely don't put yourself in that situation. But if you're realizing through listening to this that maybe you overreacted or have been not analyzing your feelings correctly, I think you should.
And how does your boyfriend feel about how pissed you are.
Right. Is
About-
he even still there?
That-
Like, it seems like
you
he
know?
just disappeared.
I'm curious how he feels about that too, because like you can feel, to take the words that so iconic, you can feel some type of way about like your ex dating someone, but that's kind of like a little quiet fuming thing you have, and you're like, I'm not gonna tell anyone because I can't feel this, like this is so dumb. Or someone that you break up with, like when you're like, oh, you have a new girlfriend, you're like, I have no right to be upset, but I'm still like, that's something that you can like feel, like that little like twinge of like whatever feeling that is, like jealousy, or like as someone who like loves attention, when someone else, like when they turn their attention, I'm like, what do you mean? Like, you're going to move on from me? Like, I didn't pick you, but like.
That's actually what I was just about to say too, is that even maybe you didn't have feelings for him, but you're kind of jealous because you no longer have his attention.
Yeah.
That I will also give you complete right to feel inside.
Inside. You're allowed to
Deep
feel
inside,
that.
you're allowed to feel that, acknowledge that. It's cool. We all really like attention. And then you have to to deal with your feelings on the outside a little bit better and like treat your friends well.
And if you've got this other relationship going on, like focus on that, like who your friend ends up dating. And like, if you don't like that, and maybe if it was something that like when he went off on you about this was the fact that like you felt betrayed because like you had thought you had built a friendship and he was really just into you and now he's moving on. And you're like, but I thought you were so into me, and like that kind of a thing. I think you can have all of those sort of feelings and stuff, but like it doesn't get you anywhere to focus on other people's relationships, even if you had prior history with him. And if you can't get over that, then you do need to just like take yourself out of the situation from your female friend, which is fine. And just be like, hey, I don't know why I'm like reacting this kind of way. And I don't like, I listened to this podcast and they were incredibly beautiful and enlightening and like so pretty. And I don't like my reaction, and I don't necessarily feel like it's warranted. And because at a certain point, like, what is she supposed to do? Like there is no solution here, because it also doesn't necessarily affect you in that way. So it's like pulling yourself away from the situation and be like, I need to like sort my own shit before before you put yourself in a place that you could, potentially end up losing her as a friend because you have these like emotions and anger and feelings. And then have a bigger conversation with like her about it if you want to understand, like if you don't feel understood or heard. But I think like you also need to hear her too.
Yeah.
I'd love to know what all happens.
Yeah, so curious.
Very, very curious. And would love to know like what the drama was. Slide into our DMs and also call us with an update.
Hell yeah.
And our DMs mean the podcast DMs. Someone DM'd the podcast and just said, help me, how do I stop being such a hoe?
I missed that one.
I screenshotted it and I was like, I mean, why do we need to help you?
Right.
I feel like you're doing what
Sounds
you need
like
to
you're
do.
living life right.
Yeah, you go do what you need to do.
Right.
Oh, it's great. And they have a really good Instagram account too. Okay. Well, you know who you are. I have so many people like, I've done that too. Okay, it's time for a break, everybody, and we will be right back. I'm excited to share that a friend of the show, Sophia Bush, have you ever heard of her, is launching her own podcast called Work in Progress. On the podcast, you'll hear frank, funny, personal, professional, and sometimes even political conversations with people who inspire Sophia, who, if you guys don't know Sophia Bush, which, by the way, living under a rock, One Tree Hill is my life, and she is someone who inspires me. I just want to say, FYI, I named my what is it called? My punch bug. I named it Brooke Davis because that was her character's name, One Tree Hill, and she had that car. Just FYI. That's definitely not a part of this, guys. I just needed to tell you that. She's talked with people like Gloria Steinem, Chelsea Handler, Karamo Brown, Jay Shetty, Katie Couric, Whitney Cummings, John Favreau, Senator Gillibrand, Lisa Lang, and many, many more. All about how they've gotten to where they are and where they think that they're going. It's refreshing to hear that even some of the most successful people out there still feel like a work in progress. And it's interesting to hear what they're working on within themselves. Sophia's conversations are thoughtful, dynamic, important, and not only will listeners learn more about the guest, they'll learn more about Sophia, which, truthfully, I feel like could really help me in some trivia. I just am obsessed with her. I'm really excited to listen to this podcast. I know you guys are going to be super excited, so give it a listen. We are so excited about this show. So make sure you check out Sophia's podcast, Work in Progress, wherever you listen to podcasts, and subscribe because there are 2 new episodes each week. Check it out, guys. Life is stressful enough. Luckily, getting birth control is one less thing you have to worry about. With Pill Club, you'll never have to schedule an appointment or wait in line at the pharmacy ever again. And you know what I hate doing? Waiting in line at the pharmacy. Pill Club is a birth control subscription that is delivered straight to your door. Most prescriptions are free with insurance or Medicaid, but it can be as low as $3.99 per month without. Shipping is always free and discreet. And Pill Club schedules deliveries so you always have your next dose on hand before you need it. So skip the office visit and the line at the pharmacy and join the club. Right now, when you go to thepillclub.com/blame, our listeners will get a special care package with every delivery. That's thepillclub.com/blame to get your first birth control care package. Remember, thepillclub.com/blame. Hi, we're back from our break and we're going to hop into the rest of the calls.
Hi, Meghan, Mel, and Guest. My name is Kristen. I'm 21, and I need your fucking help. So I recently started seeing this guy. By seeing, I mean like hooking up, going on dates with this guy from my friend group from high school. The thing is that he doesn't know that I've actually had sex with another one of our close friends within the friend group, as in one of our best friends. He kind of goes further back with this friend. I think he's known him since kindergarten. I've actually just met him my senior in high school. The thing is that the situation kind of happened not out of romantic inclination, but my friend and I were both in a position where we hadn't really had sex in a while, and we just figured we didn't want our first times in a long time to be with someone that we didn't necessarily care about or didn't care much for us. So we just thought it would work out, but obviously it didn't. And now I find myself in the situation where I'm seeing this other guy, and things are getting a little more serious than anticipated. So I feel like this is something that I should probably bring up, except none of our friends know, and my friend actually has a girlfriend, and I don't want to negatively impact that relationship in any way, namely because that's A, stupid, and B, like not my place. But I'm just trying to be cognizant of the fact that if the guy that I'm seeing does have a negative reaction, that could negatively impact not only our friend group, but also that relationship. So I don't know. Please help me out. Your girl needs help. Just grill me, please. All right. Thank you so much. Love the podcast. Bye.
I have the permission to grill. I'm not going to grill you.
No, what are you talking about?
No.
You're living your best life.
Yeah, you're doing the great thing. You're doing the damn thing. Ugh, fuck that fucking bachelor ruined that phrase for me. You don't have to tell him. Like, your sexual history is not your, like, it's not, he's not, I don't want to say he's not allowed to have a negative reaction, but like,
if they were that close, then he either knows or he doesn't know. They're not close enough for him to know.
Yeah. And like, what's in the past is in the past. Like, you both have past. Like, there are other women that he's slept with that you might know. Like, you don't have to tell him at all. I think to be honest, I think if anything, if you telling him, I would then think like, if I were him, I'd be like, oh, do you still have a thing for him? Like, why would you? Yeah,
why are you bringing it up and making it sound like it was a big deal when it clearly wasn't? It was just like two friends. So
I don't. And also, I think like there's just like something like if you all went to high school together, I'm gonna assume y'all fucked. Like if I if I'm in any of Moss's high school friends, like, oh yeah, I'm sure y'all fucked. I mean, yeah, like there's just kind of like a. If you did, you did. Like, it's not, it should be a non-issue. I think if he asks you, be truthful and don't lie about it. Like, if you're
he
like,
asks point blank.
He's like, hey, by the way, did you guys ever hook up? And you can be like, oh yeah, like one time or a couple times. Yeah. But like, it's not something that like withholding that information is not a lie because it has nothing to do with your relationship at all. Like, it predates your whole relationship.
What if they get married and then he's a groomsman?
What movie was that just in? I didn't watch the whole movie. It was on. I think Brad Pitt was in it. Moms was watching it, and he was like, "I slept with your wife," and it was like, "You slept with my wife?" I don't remember. Good story, Meghan. I mean, I'm tell the truth.
I mean, but also by then I'd also hope and assume that it would mean even less. Yeah. Like, I think now it only means more because they haven't been seeing each other. As you guys said, you're not even really dating yet. You're just sleeping together.
Yeah.
Like, I think at this point it would mean more to him to find that information out because he feels less secure with you and like it's new and it's more recent. If you guys like had a longer term relationship and were more committed and spent more time together, got married, if in some crazy future version of this, I think it would matter even less at that point. It would be even less of a big deal. And I think it's not something that I think you have to worry about too much. But I also understand like there being that kind
or
of
like wanting to be,
wanting to be upfront and honest, not wanting to hide anything. But also maybe there's also like a societal pressure too of like you're worried about looking like, I don't know, like a slut in his eyes. Yeah. And like him thinking that like changing his opinion of you because you've slept with his friend and that like would make him think that you're more into like casual sex, God forbid. And I don't know. I think
of your friends, I think he would know that already.
Yeah, hopefully. Like
you've slept with 2 of your friends. I think they
really
know.
Yeah, if he's someone who's going to judge you for that, and like you guys are already having a casual relationship right now, and he's going to judge you for having been
a previous one
casual with another one of his friends, then he might be an asshole, and you shouldn't date him.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, I think like I have a past, and like I've definitely like slept with people around the time that like we started dating, like before we were official, and like we've talked about it before where it was one of those things that like when finally he's like, oh yeah, like you guys like hooked up, right? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, oh, okay. And I was like, how does that make you feel? And this was like months into dating. He's like, I mean, like I assumed like, and he's like, and yeah, we weren't exclusive. He's like, it's not like but it's not something I felt the need that I was like, oh, I need to tell this person because like it's no one's business. If you want to, if someone wants to ask you about that, or like, and I've done it before, I'm like, you slept with that girl, and they'll be like, yeah, or no. But like, I think you have every right to ask, but like, bringing it up only makes it seem more important than it is. And then like once,
exactly.
And I think it's the same thing. Like if I saw someone that like he had slept with or whatever, and then he's like, oh yeah, we did. I was like, oh okay. I'm not as secure of being like, hey, by the way, we're gonna go somewhere and there's gonna be a girl I slept with, and it's gonna be like, oh
like,
shit.
I'm like, yeah, what did it
how
mean?
important is she? Holy fucking shit. And I'm like looking at the girl with like the glowing golden vagina, being like, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't need to be, if you make it not a big deal and you pretend it's, because it's not a big deal. If you treat it like not a big deal,
just like
then if he has like an adverse reaction, he's gonna look stupid because like he doesn't.
Yeah, he's got a double standard. Clearly,
100%. Yeah,
I don't think it is on you to bring it up. I do think if it came up in conversation, being truthful would be the best option. But I think don't worry about it being too big of a deal, especially because if you guys are getting more serious but still are not even exclusive, you could be sleeping with somebody else right now, and it wouldn't be, and that'd be fine. He wouldn't be allowed to be mad about it. So
stand by your decisions too. Don't apologize and be like, oh, I'm sorry, I was drunk, like it was dumb, it was stupid. Like
don't
you're
excuse
allowed
it that way either. Just
you're
say like,
allowed to fuck whoever the fuck you want to fuck.
And
no apologies, and it's not apologizing to like the guy that you're with now and being like, oh, I'm sorry, like it didn't mean, like who cares? Like everyone has a past. But you don't have to tell him. Tell the truth-ish is our new slogan.
Hi, Megan. Just a little backstory. So I'm 26 years old and my boyfriend is 29 years old, and we've been dating for 3 years. I'm currently in my last year of grad school. I'm getting my doctorate in physical therapy, and he's been employed and has a pretty stable job. So in the last couple of months, he's been talking about moving in, which I've been really excited about because it would be really convenient for both of us since he works across the bridge and he wouldn't have to commute and I wouldn't have to rush doing all of my schoolwork just to prioritize time with him, because it is difficult to have quality time with him, as obviously the workload with being in grad school is really demanding. But he's been putting off the conversation, and he's like randomly talking about buying furniture and getting a puppy, which doesn't really make any sense to me if we don't live together, because I don't really need any more furniture here and I wouldn't want to raise a puppy on my own. So any advice on that would be really grateful. And I don't know if this would help, but I come from like a really liberal family, and his family is very conservative and Catholic, and he is the youngest brother. So there's that. And I'm assuming that moving out is like a really big deal for him. But for me, it's just like a natural thing for our relationship to grow. Like, it just seems like it should be like the normal course of events, especially being together for 3 years and we've been seriously committed. So I don't know. I don't really know where to go from here. I don't really want to give him an ultimatum because I ultimately can't force him to do anything because that wouldn't be right either. But I don't really see myself just picking up and leaving him because obviously there's like 3 years of emotional baggage there. Okay, thanks. Bye.
I'm confused.
Yeah, I'm
so
confused too.
Do you want him to move in and he's not bringing it up? Because I think the furniture and the puppy is, hi, I want to move in with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but also it definitely changes things because in my head I was picturing that he's living in an apartment and you're living in an apartment, but then you said something about him moving out. So is he still living at home? Because that changes things a lot too. I can see why he would feel more guilty about his conservative upbringing and having like conservative parents because I'm sure there'd be pressure there. Then he's going to want to propose
to you before you move in together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to know because... So it's basically that he hasn't brought up the moving talk anymore, and now he's only bringing up the puppy and the furniture.
He's bringing up the fun stuff.
But that's also, I think that's, to me, that's the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's maybe I don't know what and I don't want to like say that you did anything wrong, but I don't know what your reaction was when was moving in together. Maybe I don't know. I'm spitballing. Maybe like you said with us that you were like, oh, I'm into that idea. That would be so convenient for all of this stuff that maybe he wanted it to be like, well, I want us to like want to, like, I want it to be like a fun next step sort of thing. And so maybe his now way of bringing it up is the more exciting fun stuff. It's like, we could have new furniture and like we get a puppy and like he's maybe trying to bring the romance and like that exciting like next relationship step back into it and not have it be about convenience because in my mind those are all the same thing. Like that's not him backtracking.
But then there's also from a bleaker, more cynical perspective.
Wow.
There's also
how the tables have turned.
Isn't this exciting? There's also the possibility of someone who likes to talk about the fun stuff but isn't so much a planner and isn't making those commitments and those plans but is happy to talk about like funny,
the hypothetical
silly, hypothetical but never would take action. But at the same time you guys have been dating for 3 years. That's a pretty significant commitment that he's made to you already. I would find it surprising if this was like a step he felt he could never take. And also if he
move into my parents' basement.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I think it just sounds like you need so much more information, or actually maybe we need more information and you just know more stuff than you're telling us. But like, I think if you just try to have a low pressure conversation with him, and something that can sometimes be very helpful that I like to do if like I feel like I'm having a hard time talking to someone about something or I'm not sure where it's going, I like to sort of throw in some multiple choice answers. So if I'm like, hey, like, are you bothered by like moving in? Like, is it a financial thing? Are you worried about your parents? Like,
give him options.
What's the deal? Like, what's happening? And keep it very, very casual.
Yeah.
Just make sure, like, if it doesn't seem like this, hey, can we talk later? And like the lights are all off and you're like sitting at the table by yourself waiting for him to come home. Like, don't petting a cat. Yeah. If it's not like scary and daunting and it just is like a conversation of two people who have known each other for like and loved each other for 3 years, like you should be able to have open conversations about this kind of stuff. And if this is something you can't talk about, that also is not good. If it's scary to bring these things up.
That's I as someone who's also 3 years into a relationship, like there is no point in a relationship in which you're too far gone that like if something happens or it's not going where you see that it's like, oh well, I've made my bed, now I need to lie in it. Like no, if you're 3 years in and you can't come to an agreement with this and you don't want to give him an ultimatum, but you do want to move in together and it's not happening, it's not 3 wasted years. Like that's 3 incredible like educational years and like you can look back on the relationship with fondness, but like you're never too far in deep to be like, oh, I can't get out now. Like I just have to settle and deal with the shit that I don't want to deal with. Like
you're young.
People get remarried in their 50s. Like this is not like you never just have to like deal with shit that you don't want to.
Good point.
What I would say, I think everything you're saying is right. What I would do first is because some people in relationships some people, usually in relationships, you only get one planner. Sometimes if you're Sydney, you're both fucking planners. But Mats and I are going on our first trip to Europe, our first vacation ever, 4 years into our relationship. I'm more of a planner when it comes to certain things. Like I'm more of like let's get this done. And then he's more of like, oh, day to day, let's figure this kind of stuff out. So maybe it comes to the point of being like, I don't know if it was you're going to move in. So let's say he doesn't live with his parents. Maybe he does. Let's say you would move into his apartment or he would move into your apartment. Let's say for the sake of the argument and what I think you should do, regardless if you've had that talk, is say, hey, I set up a couple of apartment showings that we can both go look at together. Let's go do this. And if he's like, oh, I don't think I can, you can go on your own, send pictures and be like, what do we think? Like, okay, like you take the initiative because it might just be that he's not a planner. And also if he lives at home, he might not have any fucking idea how to do it.
Yeah, where to begin.
But that's I think fair, if it's like you wanted him to move in with you, I think that's a valid and fair thing that you can want. But it's also a little bit harder to get somebody to just like
move into your space.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like a joint thing. And you're like, where do you have all of this furniture? Like then for him, he feels like it's not your place together then. It just feels like it's just your place. And there are some things that like I think it shouldn't just be about convenience. It can be convenient, but you shouldn't just want to move in with your partner because it's convenient. Like there should be some like compromise and things there and things that you're looking forward to and you're excited about. But if he feels like he's just walking into your life that you've already established there,
rent.
That doesn't feel super awesome. So I would say plan a couple of apartment showings, get him to come if he doesn't come. And then if he doesn't take any initiative from there or he like kind of shuts down everything, then I say ask him about it and then give him like multiple ways. Like, is it like a financial thing? Like, is it like, do you feel like you are afraid that like people might like look on this and think that like we're living with each other like out of wedlock? Like, is there something?
Is it a religious thing? Is it the fact that it's my space and all my stuff? Would you rather like move somewhere else? And like, just have a conversation where if it's hard for him to be forthcoming, because that's also something that can come from growing up in a conservative family, is there's a lot you just don't learn how to talk about. So if you can give him a few jumping off points, basically, that might just help him so that he can be like, oh yeah, that one. Or it'll help him think of something that hadn't even occurred to him.
Yeah. Because I also don't think you need to give an ultimatum, but I think like I think you do
need to have this conversation though, because I think this is going to sound very harsh. I don't mean it to be harsh, but in the nicest way. If you are 3 years into a relationship and this is something that you need outside help from a podcast with, I think like that says it has to be a conversation you guys have. I don't think it can be something you just sort of leave and wait for him to eventually bring it up. I think it has to be you. Yeah.
Yeah. Because ultimatums come after multiple conversations. Like an ultimatum's not the first thing. Like it's something that like this is something we've been dealing with for years and it's not getting better and it's not being fixed and we've tried all these other things and like me or this sort of thing. But it's not like the first thing. And then sometimes it sucks that like if you're gonna have to be more of the instigator with something like this, if if he was even the one who originally brought up moving in together and then he's not taking like the reins and you're kind of like, well, what the fuck? Like sometimes like it does suck that there are certain things that like other people just aren't more inclined to do, but it doesn't necessarily denote how much they care or want to do something like that. It's just like not their instinct. And he might be reading your convenience thing as like, oh, she doesn't really like want to move in. I want to wait until she wants to move in, not just for convenience. So have the conversation. And let us know how it goes.
Yeah.
It's time for Don't Blame Them.
Yay!
This is where you guys call in with your own advice.
I love this part.
What do we have?
So I'm excited because this is the first time where we get to have a call back from when you were on the last time.
No way!
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Yeah, so that's something I'm going to try to start doing when we have repeat guests.
Hi, Megan. I was calling back. I had some advice for the listener in episode 26 talking about kind of her relationship with her boss and wanting to move on to other things. I feel like I'm in a very similar situation at the moment. I've worked at my current place for about 3 years, and I've kind of been my boss's go-to. There are other people who do my job, but I'm kind of her go-to in covering shifts, and she trusts me to know everything and be the helper in that. And I kind of had a similar situation with her when I wanted to get a second job this summer to make more money for college. And I found personally, I think that if you have that friendly relationship with your employer, having that open line of communication and not being like, hey, I'm leaving tomorrow, I'm moving, but I kind of was talking to her throughout the school year and ahead of time being like, hey, just so you know, this summer I'm thinking about getting another job. I don't know anything for sure, but I'm thinking that's something I'm going to do, and just giving her the heads up of like, this is something I'm considering, this is something that's important to me and that I'm looking forward to, and I really respect your opinion on that, but I just want to let you know what's going on. So I really think that kind of keeping an open line of communication ahead of time and not sharing everything that you're planning in your future or things like that, but just kind of going to her and sharing that you have this vision for your life and that you're ready to move on and that you've really appreciated that and this is something you're thinking about, and kind of keeping her in the loop with that so that you guys can maintain that relationship that you've built, but still that you can move on and do what you want to do and keep do what makes you happy. Thanks so much. Love the podcast. Bye.
Solid advice.
Fucking smart.
Yeah.
Very smart. People love being in the loop. I love being in the loop. I just love a constant update. So I had to find my friends for Kyle, even though he lives in New York.
Yeah. I think we worry as young people entering the workforce of like letting people down, but I think it's so common for people like who are young and like newly entering the workforce to have to move around and and change jobs a lot, and I think that's just really normal, and I think you just have to not worry about people taking it personally and just be as considerate as you can without jeopardizing your job or your future. But don't be worried and go after your dreams.
Follow your dream, unless you want to be an actor, which I don't recommend following those dreams. It's not that fun. I think that was great. I don't have anything else to add for that one.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's it. This one flew by.
Yeah.
Because we talked so much. Aislinn, plug your stuff.
Oh, yeah. Hello.
I've been here for an hour.
Yeah.
I'm also I could plug your shit at this point.
You can find me on the internet at Aislinn Paul for pretty much all of my social media handles. I don't post that frequently, but enjoy my content.
But they're cute pictures.
They are.
Thank you.
And
like they look thought out.
They are.
They're like great
I
pictures.
do try.
Yeah.
Thanks.
They're very nice.
Well,
and
thanks,
if you
guys.
notice, a lot of her selfies are taken here.
Yes,
my house.
the majority of my selfies are taken at Meghan's house. She has great light here.
Thank you.
And also, it's good company.
I always know when you disappeared from it. I'm like, oh, she's taking a selfie by the window. I always know. Okay. If you guys want to, or maybe you don't want to, maybe you just really need to, call us for an upcoming episode. Leave us a voicemail at 310-694-0976. And international listeners, you can send us an audio file at meghanpodcast@gmail.com. I didn't mess it up this time. Guys, follow our Instagram. Don't Blame Meme Pod. Follow Melissa and I on Instagram. Get my presets. meghanrinks.co/presets. Hell yeah. Make your Instagram feed poppin'.
Hell yeah.
And we'll see you guys next week. Bye. Don't Blame Me is a production by me. Executive produced by Melissa DeMonts. Camera operator Amanda Lechner. And music by Ryan Hunter and Giacomo Picasso, part of the HerPod Network.